Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FGM eCars for your Thursday night ANZCAR Cup night, and we are getting towards the very pointy end of the chase. I'm joined, as always, by the one, the only Carl Withy. Good evening, Carl.
Good evening, Stuart. Good evening, everybody. Yes, we are here back in Texas. It seems like it was only a couple of nights ago we were here in Texas. But good to be back here at the Texas Motor Speedway, of course, one of the very fast tracks out there. Tricky track to run on, can catch you out, can catch a few drivers out. They'll be hoping for some good qualifying results tonight.
Yeah, qualifying important here tonight, and as you say, recently here, of course, but not in the Cup cars. So looking forward to this one tonight. It's going to be fast. There's going to be plenty of good racing, I feel, tonight. I think we're in for a good one. So I've been looking forward to it since the start of the week. So we're finally here on Thursday night, and I'm particularly excited because we are getting towards the very end of the Cup season, which means we're getting closer and closer to crowning a champion. Will it be a new champion, or are we going to see a repeat of last season with the man on screen, Edward Foster, taking it out? Time will tell, but perhaps, Carl, to give us a little bit of an update on that current championship standings.
Yeah, absolutely. So up in front at the moment with a whopping lead of 1 point is Edward Foster, of course, last year's champion in the Cup Series. Behind him is the ever-present Jason Martin. As I say, 1 point behind. 9 points down in third is Michael Skurlock. Fourth is Hamish Gallagher, just 10 points off the lead. 17 points off the lead, and fifth is Josh Micklemore. 41 points down in sixth is Danny G. 42 points down in seventh is Neil Pearson. Andrew Dyson in eighth, moving up 3 places from that good finish last time out, 46 points off the lead. 47 points down is JCW, Josh Carroll-Walden in ninth. 10th we have Matty Ray. 57 points off the lead, and Luke Traher is the lucky dog, the number 11 in the chase, just squeezing in, but he's 59 off the lead, so he's going to need a really good strong night tonight to keep himself with a chance and hope that everybody else has an absolute terror of a night.
2 minutes 40 to go, or there were 2 minutes 40 to go when this thought happened upon me, Carl. Just listening to the rundown there, we've got to make mention of Michael Skurlock here. He's the only person inside the top three who is a solo entrant. He's a privateer running in his own team. Of course, Edward Foster, part of the Natari Autosport group, which has 3 cars in the chase. And of course, the Mitch Motorsport boys need no introduction whatsoever, having done a double podium lockout within the chase window. So that's a really, really strong result for a solo driver.
Yeah, look, and shout outs to Luke Traher as well, another solo competitor in Nightcall. Obviously the only car out there in that team, but it's very hard to get into the chase as a privateer because it's all about teamwork and team effort. But Michael Skurlock doing a fantastic job, and look, he's got 5 wins this season as well. He's had an absolute ripper of a year, and we will talk to him a little bit about that in the interview that you'll hear between qualifying and the race, of course. So that's a little bit of a teaser of what's coming up. So yeah, definitely a fantastic job, and he's still within a shout of winning this one. If he has a good night and Foster and Martin both have a shocker, he can easily jump himself up to the front of that championship lead.
Well, the good news at the moment is that he's second fastest in official practice, just a 10th off Lachlan Urquio on the front row as it stands, or fastest in practice at the moment. So, of course, practice form doesn't necessarily translate to qualifying form. We've seen that plenty of times throughout the season. A little nick of the wall here or there can cost you your 2 flying laps, and that can result in a very different look to your evening. But as we've seen for a number of drivers throughout the season and even during the chase. So let's 30 seconds to go here until we get on with it, and we'll see how it falls out. But an interesting top 5 at the moment with Urquio, Skurlock, Traher, Witcher and Joshua Carroll-Walden, the fastest 5 out of official practice.
Yeah, it's an interesting top 5 at the moment. Of course, there is that little bit of draft in play at the moment, and that's going to not be in play when they come to qualifying, of course, solo qualifying, so they don't have that to play in there. So practice times don't really mean too much because you don't know who's been out there practicing out on their own, just getting a bit of useful information about what's going to happen on that qualifying lap. So a few drivers will be really low down at the moment in practice, but they might jump up a lot in qualifying. So we'll see how that one goes as the cars all vanish off the screen and get ready for that qualifying lap.
Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on as always, Carl. So we've got to see how this transpires for them all. We're going to jump on board with tonight. I think actually it's probably a good call. Let's jump on board with Luke Trahere as a privateer, who's made the chase when he jumps out on track, which he should be doing in just a moment. And he heads off now in, make no secret of it, one of my favourite liveries in the series. The 43 of the Way Down sponsored livery of LT43 Racing. So, Carl, what are we expecting tonight?
So, look, Texas always fast, always tricky. Relatively high degree of bankings, turns 1 and 2 when we get to them. About 20 degrees of banking up the top, turns 3 and 4, about 24 degrees of banking. It's a quad oval, so you can see here there's a little bit of straight and 2 little corners on the sides here. So getting across for the first corner, going to go enter quite high here, lift off a little bit, maybe a little dab off the brake. About 5% brake pressing down, not much until just to turn the nose into this corner. The first set of corners can be a bit tricky, and the car gets a bit tight in there. It can be a bit tricky. Turns 3 and 4 here, 24 degrees banking. A little bit more banking means you can go a bit faster through this section. Sometimes you can keep the car absolutely flat out. You just got to be careful on this exit here because there's a little bit of a lift and it can jump the car up into the barrier. First lap from Luke Trahere there does a 30.2. Not quite fast enough to get him up to the top, but the second lap will hopefully be a bit quicker. He's going to keep a slightly tighter line this time. Maybe a bit too tight because he loses it on the exit. Has to lift a little bit. That's going to cost him a little tiny bit of time. Should be hopefully a little bit quicker. He should have some time still in there. Going to try this final corner, go absolutely flat out here and just really go for it right now because that's the only chance he's got. He'll catch a little bit of the grass going across the line, try and keep a tighter line. Manages a improvement, jumps up to P7.
Well, not quite the laps. We're just talking about that in the preview. Not quite the laps you would have hoped for. Edward Foster, though, jumps through with a 29.51 to go fastest. Danny G, 29.62, equaled Neil Pearson. Michael Skurlock, 29.64 as their fastest laps. Let's jump back and see who else is cruising around at the moment. Andrew Dyson, let's have a look at him. Matty Ray making the unusual decision of qualifying as well tonight. That's out of character for him. But,
yeah, Hamish Gallagher just setting a fantastic time, getting out into P2 at the moment. How is Matty Ray going to go? That's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye out for. I think he actually wants to get some good qualifying results in tonight because it might be a little bit tricky to pass here at Texas. Yeah. It's going to be almost a single line just because they're going to be probably hugging that low line for the race. We'll see how they go for that one. Just because it does get a little bit... you do get quite a lot of marbles on that high line sometimes, and especially through turns 1 and 2, it's very easy to lose the car and head up towards that wall and get a bit of damage.
Yeah, Zyso jumps up into P7. Matty Ray's just about to complete his second flying lap, and then we're going to jump on board with Jason Martin. So Matty Ray with a 29.88, not able to improve. Jason Martin about to cross the start-finish line for his first flying lap. And just the 30.12 there, a casual jog around the track before he no doubt will try and go faster on this second flying lap. So not too far away here from resolving qualifying. Barry Neal, the only other competitor out on track. We'll jump on board with him in a moment once Jason Martin finishes this one up. And he can bring us home for qualifying here at Texas. So how's Jason Martin done? Jumped straight up to P2, pipped his teammate as well with a 29.53 as Barry Neal goes up into P10 with his first flying lap.
That's a really good first lap for Barry Neal, actually. That's a fantastic one. We'll just see if he can actually manage to do a little bit better on the second one. Right, usually the second one is that little bit quicker.
If he holds on here, he could be on for an absolute flyer, you'd think. So he's just about to cross the start-finish line. We'll find out now. As Barry Neal, no, in fact, goes just slightly slower. So a 29.7 for him there. Didn't look to get too loose either. Must have had to back out of it a little bit as he gets loose now. But must have had to back out of a little bit there. So Our qualifying order is finalised. We've got everyone through their 2 laps, and this is going to be Edward Foster off pole position with his competitor, the man 1 point behind him at the moment, Jason Martin, lining up right alongside him. In fact, Foster's got a Mitch Motorsport soup around him with Martin Gallagher and Danny G all surrounding him off the start, so that's going to be a difficult one for him to manage. What we're going to do now is jump into, as always, Carl's been putting together these excellent interviews with the drivers, the 11 drivers that made the chase. This week up is Michael Skurlock, so currently in P6 for qualifying. Mickey Skurlock, no stranger to those viewers who tune in all the time, a regular podium finisher. And we get to learn some of the ins and outs of the man of mystery. There's a lot of nicknames thrown around, and but a very good interview put together by Carl with you here for FGM eCast with Michael Skurlock. So we're going to jump to that now, and we'll be back with the race warm-up in around 7 or 8 minutes' time.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the chase. Bit of a catch-up, really. Tonight we are joined by Mr. Michael Skurlock himself, the Welsh nibbler, the Welsh wonder, the Irish irrigator, the many names that we've given him in the past. Mickey Skurlock, welcome to the booth.
Yeah, thanks, Carly, mate. Always love having a chat.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here, mate. Look, first of all, we've got to start off with the nicknames. You know, where do all the nicknames come from, other than the ones I give you? You seem to be a man of about 1 million different nicknames.
Yeah, self imposed nicknames, mate. I'm only messing around. But there's a story behind the Welsh nibbler, but I'm not allowed to tell it, especially not on here.
I've got the bleep button ready, just in case.
No, I've washed my mouth out with soap. I don't do swear words anymore.
You're on your best behaviour tonight. So yeah, welcome. First of all, obviously, you know, it's been a relatively good season for yourself. I mean, you almost got the most wins so far this season. There's still a chance to get that title. Daiso just taking it away from you last time out, but 5 wins this season in the Cup. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, like I feel like I'm getting better, but I haven't been driving it anywhere near as much as I used to. It's kind of, I don't know, it's like just, it's sort of luck of the draw. Each week the car feels a lot different than the week before, and sometimes if I like it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I barely practice and I'm better. It's, I don't know, mate. So it's just, yeah, it's a toss-up to see how it goes on the week, to be honest. But yeah, I've got to be honest with you though, like since that rig thing, I'm finding it hard to like really care as much, to be honest, because that was a bit decimating to my, you know what I mean? Like I really wanted that. So, you know, it's hard to, I almost do better now because I'm not really caring as much.
Yeah, it was a bit of a crusher. I mean, obviously, that there was that moment where you realised that you won the Darlington. Yeah. That was a bit of a killer.
Oh, yeah, mate. Especially Darlington is hard to win, you know? Like, I don't think I've ever won the Darlington before. So I was like, I really thought the whole time, like, oh, yeah, this is the one. Like, I did it.
And then to have it snatched away from you just at that moment, devastating. I mean, look, we were all cheering you on and hoping for the best, but, look, the fan voice can only go so far, unfortunately. But saying that, you did get 2 of those 3 wins at the 4 races, and that's pretty hard to do. I mean, look, you've got a knack of winning races, and you tend to be at the right place at the right time. Is that just something you've learned over the years, or has it just always been that way?
It's definitely something I learned more and more, like doing the longer NIS races for NASCAR, the iRacing ones that are, you know, they're about the same length as ANZCAR, to be honest, but I used to do quite a few of them a week, and there's a lot of good drivers in there. Like, everyone's around the same skill level, and yeah, I think that really taught me how to be patient, where to pick and choose gaps and that. And then when you bring it to ANZCAR, there's a lot less people fighting for those spots, so it's easier to pick and choose, if you know what I mean. Like, there's a bit more room out there. Like, you can sit behind a bunch of cars and just wait, and you know that you're not going to get passed by another 10 people while you're doing that. So then later on, you can really attack try and move forward right when it counts.
Yeah, look, that's a good way of getting the experience, and having people to race against that you sort of can trust as well. I imagine makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much everyone in ANZCAR's, everyone's good and safe to drive with, and I've barely touched anyone the whole time I've been in ANZCAR really, and hardly anyone's touched me. So keep it that way.
Well, that's
keep it to ourselves, mate.
That's generally how you want it. Speaking of, well, not just ANZCAR, but NASCAR and cars in general, what got you interested in motorsport?
All right, this can be my little show-off segment, all right?
Go for it.
Like, if I can't be proud of this, then what was the point of doing it? So, my dad's a mechanic, and he's been a mechanic since he was a kid. So cars was everything for him, and motorbikes. So, like, we had about 3 or 4 VHS videos of, like, Havoc, I think, Havoc 88, Havoc 89, had some motocross one, and a Formula One thing, and I just used to just cycle it just all the time, mate. Just sitting at home, just one video, next video, next video, next video, just watching them over and over again. And and then my dad always bought us quads and stuff like that. So, I didn't do any racing until I was about 16, 17, and then I started jet ski racing. And I ended up being 2-time state champion in that, and was sponsored by Sea-Doo, and had a fully modified ski made for me in that. That was pretty cool.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that, I've got to say.
Yeah, I gave up after a few years though, because I was still pretty young, and all I ever wanted to do was motocross since I was tiny. But my mum never wanted me to ride a 2-wheeler bike when I was little, so I had to wait. You know what I mean? Eventually I got one when I was 18, and then I went out and I won C grade state championship, and then I won the B grade state championship, and then the A grade is going from ANZCAR to peak. You know what I mean? There's a big jump to go into the A's, and that's when I sort of discovered how good alcohol was every weekend, and I started not putting the effort in to go anywhere further in motocross. So basically after that I found TOCA 2, V8 Supercars 2, whatever it's called, and then I've discovered what online racing was on the Xbox One, I think it was, and I was hooked, mate, on that. I used to have a bunch of Aussie dudes that we used to just race the V8 Supercars, but we did it in ghost mode because collisions were terrible in that game, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I never really played it without the ghost mode. But we all there was a whole league of just ghost mode. So, we'd all be driving inside each other, but we were all so good that it was 1 millimeter here and here, and you see one guy getting away. It was crazy. I used to love doing that. And then, other than that, the first game I ever played was Micro Pro's Grand Prix 1, I think. I used to play that all the time with the keyboard, just tapping away. Never really got anywhere, never won anything in it. Just used to just sit there tapping away, mate. And I had the first ever NASCAR game, which was 95 maybe. And that was the same. I don't think I ever finished a race. I think I did 2 laps ever because I was just using the keyboard, just crashing.
Yeah, keyboards aren't useful for driving.
Nah, so I didn't really, especially ovals, but I didn't really commit to anything like that until that TOCA thing, and then then that's where it got me hooked in doing sim racing, really.
Oh, look, and you've done pretty well for yourself in sim racing. I mean, you're well known across many series. I mean, not just on the oval side. You're well known for your skill on the circuit racing as well.
Yeah, well, I wish I was a bit better on the circuit racing in the NASCARs, but can't do that anymore for some reason. But I like the little cars like Skippies and the Formula Vs, the little USF 2000, I think they are. I like all those little open wheelers. They really hook up and they're just fun. They're like little go-karts.
Yeah, I've got to admit I'm a big Skippy fan. It's my little secret passion that I get away from and manage to drive occasionally once I'm out of the booth. But But in ANZCAR, of course, you're a bit of a veteran nowadays. You've been having a great season as well. I mean, your chase, you've had the momentum of a runaway freight train. Why are you so good at the chase?
Well, we've only had 2 chases, and last year I wasn't very good at all. So, I think literally this year is because, like I said about that rig thing, like just the pressure's off. I mean, like compared to the rig, relative to that, winning this means nothing really now. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it does mean something. That's why I'm here every week, because I enjoy doing it, and I love competition. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, I love to make a competition serious in my head, but then not, once it's done, I don't care. Like, I'm happy, whatever, As long as you have fun, that's all that matters. I don't ever take this away from the computer and, sit in bed wondering why and stuff like that. I'll never do that. Like, I will not allow myself. 2 minutes after an accident, I'm over it and I'm happy.
Yeah, you're not going away after a big Daytona crash and sulking in your bed for 7 hours, going, "Oh, I could have won that one."
Not even after the rig thing. I was fine after 5 minutes. I was never really devastated, but I mean, that was the one time any race was worth anything. You know what I mean?
Well, speaking of rigs, what are you running at the moment?
Mate, people laugh at me. I just got the G29 and this PVC rig that wobbles around all over the place. That's why I really needed that other one. And I do have nice pedals now. I used to only have the Logitech pedals as well, but now I've got Fanatic V3s, and that was my friend Nathan Verney that bought them for me. Surprised gift, which was crazy. So, otherwise I'd still have the Logitech ones.
And I think that's something I wanted to point out from you, is because you're not using the most high-tech equipment in the world. You're not using the top-end stuff, and yet you're still so very competitive. That's one of the things that's great about sim racing, is just the fact that you don't need to have the best equipment in the universe to be able to have fun and be competitive.
No, it's completely hand-eye coordination, and you can tell because they're young kids will come and smoke you, and they got no money, mate. Yeah. They're running on probably something worse than their Logitech. They're on Mario Kart wheel.
Running on it.
Yeah, they will beat you, and then that all this razzle dazzle stuff, it's like, what did I just spend my money on? Whoops.
Yeah. No, that's very true. Obviously, Chase is getting towards the end of the season. 4 races left now. We're heading to Texas next. In those 4 races, is there anyone in particular that you think you're going to be strong at?
I like to think I'll be strong at all of them, but I'd say mainly it's hard because all these road racing guys, they tend to be really good at the Martinsville and Phoenix as well, which are my 2 other favourite ones. But I know that other people can, I used to be really good at Martinsville and be like out front, but now I tend to always be 3rd or 4th, 5th even. So I'm hoping I can be better this time. The Phoenix is one of my favourite ever. So that one I hopefully do well in. And Texas, yeah, I'll win it.
Well, we will see you here after the show. We'll catch up with you when you win the race tonight. So that's put the curse on you, if anything. Look, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Skurley. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm sure we could chat for hours, but unfortunately we only have a set amount of time. Thank you so much for joining us, and look, we'll get to chat to you, I'm sure, before the season end.
Yeah, appreciate it, Carly. Thank you, mate.
So there you go, Carl, an insight into the man of many nicknames, Michael Skurlock, and another driver who got his start on Micropros, which I found very interesting, because that's where I remember my earliest memories playing car racing games on computer.
Yeah, and the man on pole position as well, will very much tell you stories about micropros as well. Foster, of course, very much familiar with that sim. Back in the day, Jeff Cromon doing a fantastic job on that. Too many Jeffs these days. But yeah, a magnificent sim back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Hongloose jumped into the comments saying good segment from Scully there. Now everyone get your pen and M&Ms out for the Mitch Motorsport boys. Absolutely. And what a good segue into our grid for this round. It's not the penultimate, of course, but if quad ultimate was a word, which it's not, it's 4 from the end here tonight. And we are at Texas. And we've got Edward Foster and Jason Martin off the front row with Hamish Gallagher and Danny G off row 2. Then it's Neil Pearson and Michael Skurlock off 3 with Raymond Yeager and Andrew Dyson off 4. That's a good performance from Raymond Yeager, just slipping in under the radar. Justin Witcher and Barry Neal off row 5 with Joshua Carroll-Warden and Luke Trahere off row 6. And as we flip around, it's Josh Mickelmore and Scotty Griffiths off 7 with Michael Schroeder and Damon Stockton off 8. Then Matty Ray and Stevie Dubb off 9 with Mirko Dortnak and Daniel Heddersheed off row 10. Then as we look a bit further back, Phil Worley and Riley Curtis off 11 with Dave Douglas Double D and Norm Clark off row 12. Let's keep going through this as they make their way around on the warm-up lap. It is Matty Hunter and Phil Otto off row 13 with Greg Spence and Nigel Patton off 14. Simon Heddersheed and Paul Jackson rounding out the 30 starters in the chase this evening.
Yeah, absolute lockout field tonight. Some really good drivers. Watch out for some of the ones down at the back. They're going to be pretty quick, but up the front is where we're going to keep our eyes for the moment, as Edward Foster is going to take the green flag here for Texas Motor Speedway for the round of the chase here. Foster gets a good jump over the Mitch train behind him of Gallagher, Martin and Danny G. Neil Pearson is going to want to have a good result tonight, as well as Michael Skurlock. A lot of chase drivers up the front of the field at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It is indeed. And that camera angle there has not worked for us whatsoever, but it is still green running at the front. Will Foster gets away to a ripping start. Hamish Gallagher, Danny G up a little bit further with Jason Martin in 3. I think their grid there might have had an issue when I was reading it out as I flipped over one of the pages, because Danny G, of course, was up the front, as were a couple of the DPR boys with Neil Pearson and Andrew Dyson. Michael Skurlock shot back a couple of positions so far, down into P7 with Raymond Yeager there behind him, but it is still Edward Foster leading out in front early on in this one.
Scully's sort of in an awkward position. He's stuck up on the high line at the moment, same as Jason Martin right now, as Neil Pearson makes a move on him. Scully just jumping down. He sees a gap in front of Joshua Carroll-Walden, makes that move decisively just to get in that low line, because he knows he's going to drop back positions and he's going to start hurting his tyres sitting up there as well. That high line can be detrimental to the health of your tyre life. Meanwhile, up the front, Foster is absolutely running away with it. He's getting a great leap at the moment, almost 3/4 of a second ahead of Hamish Gallagher, who's got a nice bit of a gap over Danny G, who now has Neil Pearson right behind him. Danny G is going to try and caught up Pearson a little bit, so Jason Martin can try and get up there. Jason Martin managing to get in just ahead of Raymond Yeager. Just managing to get ahead of Raymond Yeager, just getting in there nicely, so good job from him. Good start from everybody so far, just moving their way up through the field. And look, don't expect to see too many overtakes early on in the stint, so going to just wait a little bit. Obviously, you don't want to run up your tyres too quickly here at Texas. It can be a bit of a killer, and it can absolutely start causing you problems mid-stint. And you don't want to get caught on that high line like Danny G is right now, because that will lose you time. Danny G is going to just fall back a little bit. He's going to need a bit of help from his teammate of Jason Martin to slot back in, but is he going to get it there? Not quite yet. Scully's making sure he can't do it. Scully's going to stick to the back of Jason Martin right now, just to make sure Danny G can't get in there. Danny G just stuck up on that high line at the moment.
Not the start that I was expecting from the Mitch Motorsport boys. I thought Edward Foster would struggle at the front, even though he got the opportunity to decide when everyone went with 3 Mitch Motorsport cars surrounding you. I thought he was going to get pushed out. Not at all the case. In fact, it's been probably not the best start for Mitch Motorsport, unless they're managing very early on, with Gallagher the only one to carry his position from the start of the race, with Martin and Danny G dropping down through the field.
Yeah, it feels like they're just not able to switch it on just in this early stage. They were just struggling for those first couple of laps, but I think they will start improving as it goes on. I think Foster just got the jump over them, just caught them napping a little bit, and that really, really helped him out an awful amount.
Very good
So
start
really
from
good
it.
start.
Sorry, Carl.
Oh no, I was just going to say really good start from Foster.
Yeah, no, he did. He got away and managed it very, very well in what would have been a confronting situation. Andrew Dyson up 4 positions so far, equal best mover of the night so far, and Neil Pearson will be thankful for that, to have a friend indeed up at the front of this field. So they may now decide to manage. We may see from here for a little bit. They've got a good gap actually over the guys behind them, nearly a second back to Jason Martin between the pair. If Daiso can close up, they can work together for a bit and manage for a little while. Obviously, we've got a long way to go here, 160 laps tonight, so that's a good advantage for them to have. They've managed to split the Mitch Motorsport boys up as well, which is a difficult thing to do, but a big advantage to have as they descend upon the back of Hamish Gallagher.
Yeah, a little bit of race going on a little bit further back between Josh Micklemore and Justin Witcher at the moment. Justin Witcher just keeping on the outside of Micklemore and just forcing him to have to race a little bit, and that's costing him time as this race goes on, just giving Barry Neal a little bit of a chance to get away from them. So he's just managing to get away from the Intersim Intersim entry car and the Mitch car of Josh Micklemore. So Witcher and Micklemore fighting. It's going to help Luke Trahair just behind them, but he's sort of stuck behind 2 cars that are battling it out. The person it's going to help, as I said, is Barry Neal, who's going to build up a little bit of a gap, and also Raymond Yeager.
Tell you what, Jason Martin is still stuck on the outside. He cannot get down into that low line.
Just manages it now.
Oh, he's just done it now. Yeah, so he's been stuck out there for a while. That's going to hurt. Witcher the same. Sorry, my apologies. It's Raymond Yeager the same. Similar liveries there. Raymond Yeager the same, just getting caught out. So he's got Barry Neal on his quarter, and both of them again putting the pressure on Danny G in the 24 Mitch Motorsport entry. Danny G, of course, is a reason he's been dubbed the silent assassin. He just creeps his way through the race, so he won't be too stressed about being in P8 at the moment, this early on in the race.
Man on the move at the moment is Daniel Hedesheeder. He's just getting past Damon Stockton at the moment. Side by side, very close between the two. You could not fit a cigarette paper between those 2 cars, but they managed to get through the corner safe and sound. Hedesheeder just losing out a little bit on the straight as Stockton will get a better run off the corner, but getting into the corner, Hedesheeder just slides it through nicely. Philip Worley just sitting in behind him as well. The purple variant of the DPR flavoured cars.
Another one of the M&M boys just heading their way through there. This is typical of Hedesheeder. I say typical. He's only a handful of races into. Oh, as we've got Damon Stockton's gone around, and we've got our first caution of the night. Kind of, it looked like a solo incident there. I didn't see too many around him. We'll go back and have a look. Of course, that is a big.
Feel like it's probably contact between himself and Worley there. So Stockton just getting into the side of Worley.
Goodness me.
Big accident there for Stockton. Just looks like a bit hard to dissect what happened there. Looked like maybe Worley just ran out the corner a little bit. Stockton was sitting on his line, and Worley just ran up the track a little bit, and just a little bit side-by-side contact. Stockton got the worst out of that one, though. The 696 absolutely in the wars, and that car looks like it's going to probably be heading either behind the wall or having to head in for a little bit of repair.
So what's the strategy here? Do we jump into pit lane and just put in some juice? There'll be some dummies taken now on you. I love watching Andrew Dyson do the dummy. I don't reckon we've seen Ed Foster leave it extremely late. I think he took a coat of the clear off the cone on the entry to pit lane once, but if he's done that, I reckon Dyso's taken a couple of layers of paint off. He throws it pretty hard, the old dummy, but none of our leaders jumping into pit lane. We have got a few. In fact, Luke Trahair, the highest placed runner, jumping into pit lane. So we've got Trahair, Schroeder, Raymond Williams, Dortnack, Stockton, Worley, Curtis Douglas, Hunter and Jackson all jumping through pit lane. It'll be interesting to see. It looks like they're all just taking fuel.
Yeah, all topping up with fuel, nobody taking tyres that I can see. So I think they're just going to all take a little bit of extra go juice just to get a little bit longer.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
So they can't get to the end from here, but it can give them a little bit longer.
No, certainly not. But allows them to manage that caution-free period if it extends.
Very much so.
And if you're in that lower half of the field, it makes total sense to jump in through pit lane. Luke Treherne is probably the only slight question mark, but I mean, he was running, I think, in P11 when he jumped into the lane. So, you know, he's not going to lose a lot from doing that, but might just gain the ability to manage his race a little bit better than those in front.
Yeah, that's it. It's a calculated risk. I mean, sometimes losing out track position can be a nasty thing to have happen, because it can leave you with the chance of having a crash in front of you, and that can absolutely end your race. So that is really one of those things that you've got to. It's a calculated risk sometimes. So sometimes track position is better if you're running up in those high cars, because there's less chance of an incident in front of you. Not that it's completely ruled out, but you're probably going to have less chance of getting caught in an incident if you're running up in the top 10. When you're running below the top 10, there's more chance of you getting caught up in somebody else's wreck.
I just noticed that there's Simon Heddersheeds running tonight as well.
Yes, I think Cup debut, I believe.
Yeah, right.
Trying to think if I've seen Simon out there before. I've seen Simon in the Xfinity, I think, and the trucks a couple of times, but not in the actual Cup. So I think it is a Cup debutant tonight for Simon Heddersheed.
I thought I was seeing a glitch on the timing screen there, and then I realised, no, it's not. It's Daniel and then Simon. So, welcome to Simon.
We know what happened last time we had a Heddersheed on debut.
It certainly is Cup debut, and Daniel won last time. We saw a Heddersheed debut in the Cup, but I feel like he's got a little bit more stiff competition tonight.
Up 13 positions though, so don't discount him yet.
Not at all. Not at all.
As they line up 2 by 2, Foster's going to become the effective pace car for a couple of moments when he's going to drop the pedal. He does it very early again. Neil Pearson is onto that like a bug stuck to some glue. He's got that launch really well covered, so he manages to get a better jump on that than the Mitch boys on that first restart. But Foster does get away nice and clean there. Pulled out a little bit of a gap. Going to see Pearson get a bit of a run here. He's going to get that slipstream underneath Foster. Going to get underneath Foster right now and probably make the move. Foster's going to be on the outside. He's going to try and slot down there. Up on that outside, though, it's going to lose you a couple of positions. And you're going to see, Hamish Gallagher now make the move. Foster's going to drop back right behind Andrew Dyson, possibly, if he can't get down into that spot. He needs to get down there quickly before Skirley makes that move.
He's doing what he can. He's not quite got the opportunity to do it yet. His teammate JCW is on his way to support, but it may be too little too late. He'll get it done now as Skirley leaves the door open for him to move through. So we've had a complete reshuffle at the front. Pearson, Gallagher, Dyson, now your top 3. 17 laps through after the first caution of the night.
Really good restart there from Pearson. He just managed to leave enough gap to get a fantastic run there. Just get that little bit of draft action on Foster and just absolutely push him out on that high side and leave Foster hanging.
It's not surprised we know that Pearson can drive. That's certainly not a question that we had remained to be answered this season. So Daiso probably missed out just slightly. Gallagher got down into the line and stopped his progress, but obviously Dyson using the stream there to get past Edward Foster, so
Gallagher looking to do the same up at the front, but can't quite get that nose underneath Pearson this time round. We've seen though, if Gallagher could get his nose underneath Pearson, Pearson will drop back like a bit of a stone, but luckily Pearson's got his teammates sitting behind Gallagher, so Daiso could possibly make a little bit of a gap there, just edge back a few cars to help Pearson slot into P2. And of course what that does as well is it gives you a little bit of fuel saving.
Yeah, we saw what we thought was a fuel race last night, so
it was for a couple of drivers.
It was, yeah, I was about to say, obviously not here at Texas, it was at Kansas in a completely different car, but it's something that we spoke about early on with the drivers thinking about 160 laps here. You've definitely got to be thinking of any advantage you can get
Pearson
there.
just gets a bit loose getting into turn number 3, and that's going to cost him dearly as Hamish Gallagher gets down on the inside. Foster's pushing Dyson along a little bit just to try and make sure he can't help his teammate there. Foster is really trying to stop that from happening. Pearson's up on that high side at the moment. Foster is trying to push Dyson along, so Pearson can't slot in. But Dyson is trying his best to make that gap. You can see the DPR cars working together now, trying to get that little bit of a move made. But Gallagher has got that inside line. Pearson's going to have to be careful here not to fall back too quickly, not to overheat those tyres as well. He's just going to be sitting in an unenviable position right now. That fast line can work for some drivers, but you do end up just using a little bit more heat on some sections of the tyre, and it can drift you out a little bit. You can lose a little bit of speed. You get better exit speed, but sometimes you lose a bit of corner mid speed, and we see there the exit speed pays off for Pearson.
Yeah, Skirley just down with Jason Martin. JCW now able to execute a move and get up behind Edward Foster, and it looks like Josh Micklemore is trying to just slide in if he can in between Skirley and Jason Martin. That gap closed pretty quickly. You see there, just not able to quite get that done. Imagine that Jason Martin, if he can't close it out, may just move a little, hold up Barry Neal and try and get his teammate down there, but he does get it closed, so everything I just said is totally irrelevant. But the Mitch boys will be trying to get together where they can get up to the back of Hamish Gallagher.
Josh Micklemore making a good move and keeping Skurlock behind him. Daniel Hedesheed trying to get on the back of Jason Martin at the moment as well. So there's a lot of battling going on early on in this section of the stint. We've only done 24 laps so far, 136 remaining tonight. A few people have come in to top up their fuel tanks, but the majority of them are just on their stock tank, which will get you around about 60, 70 odd laps here at Texas in the Cup car, depending on how hard you're pushing.
JCW holds up there. He might have got close to the wall, and he's now under attack from Josh Micklemore. Just seeing Hedesheed there as well in the background, trying to make a move, and looking at, I think it might be Danny G just on the outside line. So there's a few things going on here in the background. Barry Neal dealing with, I think it's Jason Martin. It is Jason Martin on the outside there as well. And Carl, I was just going to quickly say, how fantastic is this? We've got 3 teams now battling at the front, and we've got Michael Skurlock involved in it as well as Barry Neal. So it's an interesting, the race is poised interestingly. I mean, it's only early on, but we've got 3 different teams battling effectively for the lead of the race.
We have, and this sort of front pack, we've also got the Intersim team as well of Jaeger and Witcher as well, just sitting around in this group. So there are quite a few different teams up there. We've got a good group of cars at the moment, and it's great to see that it's not just a single team lockout at the moment. If Foster can squeeze his way up into P3 as Pearson gets a little bit loose there on the exit, and that's going to give Hamish Gallagher the chance to make the move. Hamish Gallagher gets through into P1. Big moment for Pearson. He managed to save that car, but just got a little bit loose into turn 1. A little bit tight into turn 1, and just had to really ease off that accelerator. Really struggled through that corner and lost himself a lot of speed. That's going to give Gallagher a good chance to get a nice bit of lead here.
Carol Walden battles away with Josh Micklemore. They're still side by side. You can see here Carol Walden wanting to get up behind Foster and go with his teammate, and he has had to relinquish that position, Josh Micklemore, but it's not all bad because he's got Jason Martin right behind him. Michael Skurlock also involved in this battle. Daniel Hedesheed still making progress. Still, this is a good opportunity for him to get through. If he can go with Skirley here and get some work done, then he might be able to close up onto the back of Foster and Joshua Carroll Walden as well. So Mitch Motorsport boys just sitting on that high line.
Top 14 cars covered by 2 seconds. That's how close it is at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. The top 13 are covered less than a second. So that's how tight it is up at the front at the moment. There is barely anything between these guys. It is so close at the moment. And the reason it's a little bit longer towards the back is just because Hamish Gallagher's managed to pull out about half a second lead over the rest of them. So Gallagher doing a really good job at the moment. Pearson dropping down like a stone at the moment. Pearson having some real issues. He might have just burnt his tyres up a little bit.
Yeah, potentially so. Like we were saying that the storm is brewing. Yeah, it could well be. Didn't take much, particularly with the pack this congested still. We're 2 to 3 wide, 31 laps in still. So there's plenty of battles to come. FGME cast for your Thursday night. We're here with ANZCAR, the Chase season 2021.
Share it around to your friends. Let everybody know that this is a great place to watch some of the absolute finest oval racing in Australia. We're more than happy for you to share it around to let more people see it, because more viewers, the more people that get to enjoy this kind of stuff.
And absolutely contributing in the chat as well. You know we love that. Quiz will be coming up at some stage, no doubt. So make sure you listen out for that one and jump in with your answers. So certainly love to hear your thoughts on how the race is progressing and who you're liking the look of. So the team's still just sorting themselves out. JCW up behind Foster, still battling though with Micklemore. This will be costing both of them some tyre life. You see Skirley there's just dropped off a little bit. And I can't help but think that some of that might be for management ahead of anything else, because he is working with, he's just sitting in behind the Mitch Motorsport boys. He's having a little bit of fuel there, and he's not really losing much time, albeit Hamish Gallagher now is out to a second over Skirley in P7. But this early on, that's not the end of the world whatsoever. He's got some fast cars to run with should he need to go, with Jason Martin just in front of him. So I think Skirley probably just jogging on the spot a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, I think Skirley's just easing it in a little bit, just hoping for a slightly longer stint here. If we get a nice long green stint, it should be pretty good for Skirley. He's just sitting there, just biding his time. Foster looks to be making a little bit of a move on Dyson at the moment. He's got a nice run underneath him now. Gets the side draft. Foster moving up into P2 at the moment. Gets a very nice move done on Dyson. He's going to try and hold him out a little bit so JCW can get underneath him. Can't quite manage it this time round. Foster makes it up to P2. Dyson drops down to P3. JCW now trying to make the move onto Dyson. Unfortunately, that's going to leave him open from the Mitch train behind him of Micklemore and Martin.
Martin's still just not quite able to go with it, but Micklemore closes it out. Martin now gets down underneath him with a much better run. And he's going to get that one done, you feel. Skirley just getting a little loose there. So we go 3 wide on the exit of the corner. It's Daniel Hedershed and Phil Worley in the background there, just having a tussle. Sorts itself out. So Hedershed now with Pearson. As you said, Pearson just falling back a little bit, just struggling maybe for some tyre after that run on the restart. He had a fantastic restart there, but maybe just spent a little bit too much of the product.
Danny G tries to make a bit of a move on to Daniel Hedershed right here, and is getting a good job done as they come through turn number 4. Danny G just slides it in, but Hedershed's going to get a good run on the high line here. Hedershed's got a good chance to possibly get it done into turn 1. Turn 1 can be tricky because, as I say, you've got to lift off a little bit, that little dab of brake just to get the nose turned in sometimes, and you're going to get a better run off the high side here. So Hedershed will get a little bit of a better run off the high side. Danny G will have a better run into the corner though. He might be able to get this done through turns 3 and 4. Hedershed's going to wash up the track a little bit, and this is going to be Danny G's opportunity to make the move. He slides up in front of the Latari car and makes the move.
View of that all from the 22 of Barry Neal. Be able to replicate the same sort of thing, I think. You can. Just see him running in P12 at the moment. There's a couple of campers down in the background as well. Matty Ray, Stevie Dub, Lucha Head, Dave Douglas, just running a little bit further back. But clean cars, poised well. So they'll just be managing their race. But it is already 43. It's flying past the moment. So we're a quarter of the way through the race.
it is indeed. We're getting a nice run here at Texas, often the bogey for the ANZCAR series. Hopefully we get to see a nice clean rest of the race, because Texas, there's the Texas curse for ANZCAR, I swear. So hopefully we might be able to lift that one tonight.
Edward Foster's made some good ground on Gallagher in the lead now. The gap's down to 2/10.
Yeah, we saw Foster having that really good run early in the stint as well. Looks like Foster's got some great pace here tonight. Just able to make that car run really, really well. So we'll see how that one is going.
Lachlan Leclerc has just notified us that the Twitch stream is down, so apologies there for those who were trying to watch on Twitch. Hopefully you've jumped across to Facebook or YouTube. That is completely unintentional, and I'm getting a green tick here to tell me that we're on the air on Twitch, but obviously not the case.
No, very much so. Something gone wrong there, unfortunately. The joys of streaming some days.
It's been that week this week, but that's okay. We'll move along. The racing's been good, so that's the most important thing. Gail saying that this is tense, and in the absence of alcohol, she needs another mug of chamomile tea. I love it.
Yeah, I'm on the strong stuff tonight, honey and lemon. So as usual, the strong drink for me tonight, the old honey and lemon, just to keep the voice nice and buttery smooth, of course. Neil Pearson still just dropping down the field a little bit. He's just getting passed by Danny G now, and now Heddersheed and Barry Neal are just going to cruise on through. So weird to see that real drop in pace of Pearson. Just seems to be really struggling at the moment. And just gets a bit of a snap going through turn 4 as well. So may have just burnt those fronts a little bit and is just struggling a little bit for pace.
So for those who didn't stop, Carl, when's the window? It can't be lap 80, surely.
Probably around about lap. Well, we've had a caution. 70. Probably about lap 75, I'd say.
So they're going to get close to halfway through. Makes sense.
I don't think they'll make it to the end. They'll need to make 2 more stops, I think, on fuel. So it's still going to be pretty close all up.
Unless we get another caution, perhaps.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's going to be one of those ones where it's going to be a little bit tight. I think it's going to be too tight to make it on fuel with just 1 stop, unless we get another caution. So just doing maths and working things out and having a glance at things. So always the fun.
Just quickly there, I was actually surprised. Lachlan Leclerc is just saying that. The 42 cracked loose out of turn 2. I thought you made the split, Lockie, to be honest, so didn't make it in tonight.
Oh, we saw Lachlan up there with the practice pace, but unfortunately qualifying did not pay out for Lockie, which is a big shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. So it's a fair bit of damage to the right-hand front corner for Hawley, of course, from earlier incident. He's still managing to maintain the pace. Currently sitting P6, just behind the banana split. She's got Mickelmore, Carol Walden, and Damon Stockton in it. Stockton, of course, a lap down. Nice to see that's still running after the big hit that it copped, but it gets real close there to JCW. But keeping it clean. Let's see here, Warley's got a good run.
Sat in pit lane for about 5 laps, so just to get those repairs done. They've managed to chuck a new front fender on that thing and just get it back out. So the mechanics will have earned their pay tonight. So they will have earned a few dollary dues for all of their hard work tonight, I'm sure.
Someone stepped on the grape M&M. Gail Foster just contributing there. Thank you, Gail. They did. seem to remember an advert from the 80s about going ape over grape. I think it might have been a push pop ad though, so that's probably not quite as appropriate as the M&M slogan that we've got for the Skittles slogan that we've got for the DPR boys. Both the purple cars there making it terribly difficult because they both start with 2. But anyway,
Yeah, they do. I wonder which one would be the grape ape, of course, of the pair, the famous Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Yes, of course, absolutely. And Lachlan Urquhart has just jumped in and told us that he's firing his entire pit crew because he couldn't repair his car or set it up. So that's fair enough.
I thought Lockie was his pit crew.
Well, I'm not going to get into them arguments. Dave Douglas jumps into pit lane. Now, this is his first stop of the night, from my understanding. Sometimes Carl has more accurate information than me, but
no, definitely.
No, it is. It's his second stop. There you go. So second stop. So this is it for him. He's this is early. Maybe just struggling with the tyre.
Coming in for the tyre change. So he's going to try for the undercut. So he was sort of stuck in a position where he
just wasn't making progress.
Was not making progress. He's going to come in, get those fresh tyres, hope for a long green period, and use this to the advantage. So we'll have to come in again, of course, to make it to the end. Yes. It's going to be about where are we? About 40 laps shy, I think, of fuel. So we see there Neil Pearson, I think, just dropping in as well. So Pearson coming in for a fresh set of boots, and he's decided it's time to go. And this is going to start worrying some of those drivers out there, because you're going to have to keep a bit of an eye out there. So I think fuel-wise they're okay, but it's more so tyre that they're worried about right now. So it's getting to that stage where the tyres are starting to drop off that little bit, and they're just going to need to come in for the pit stop to get the fresh tyres chucked on the car, get out there again, and make it to the end of the race. Josh Micklemore also coming into pit lane with, I think, Simon Hedershed.
I was trying to identify who that car was. I should have known that it was Hedershed, but he's jumped in. So I was going to say, I saw Pearson dropped a couple of places and then decided to jump into pit lane, so he's just really struggling out there. But that fresh set of tyres with a driver like Pearson behind it, we'll get to see just how quick it is with the differential between the tyres that are now some 55 laps old and the new that have been fitted to those couple of vehicles.
Yeah, so to give you an idea of fresh tyres, because Stevie Dub came in about 12 laps ago, he's currently setting times of about 30.9, so he's a good second faster than some of those guys. And those are relatively old tyres. Old tyres in motorsport terms. So we'll see how fast those new tyres are on the drivers out there on the freshers. So let's see how this one goes. I think JCW in pit lane as well. So JCW deciding to pull the pin. Michael Skurlock, Barry Neal, Jason Martin all coming in too. Luke Traher as well. So we're getting the green flag pit stop starting to come in. Who's going to stick it out there a little bit longer? Who's going to try and keep it out as long as possible? Of course, you are going to lose a lot of time coming into pit lane. Around about 40 odd seconds. So you are going to drop a lap, and sometimes sticking it out there can be a good idea, but Foster is also coming pit lane, so Foster's decided to pull the pin right here, so he's coming in as well. We'll see how long Philip Worley sticks it out, because he took on that extra fuel, so that's going to be an interesting little strategy there, see if he actually keeps it out a little bit longer, but I think it's mainly tyre wear that's causing people to come in right now.
I was going to say Gallagher doesn't seem to be dropping too much pace at the moment either. Andrew Dyson, so we'll see how. I mean, obviously in comparison to the fresh tyres they are, but we'll see how long they stick it out for.
Well, Josh Micklemore just set a 30 dead last time round. Hamish Gallagher was a 31.5, so 1.5 seconds faster on those fresh tyres. That means that you're going to drop an awful lot of spots if you stay out there for too long. Of course, it can pay off if you get that caution. You know what happens when drivers come out on cold tyres. It's very easy to lose the tail, and it's very easy to bring that yellow out, and that can end up destroying somebody's race or making somebody's race. So we'll see if a few people just risk it out there for a bit longer and try it out there. The other thing, of course, is the longer you stick it out there, the better your tyres are towards the end of the race. So you might stick it out there a little bit longer. Take the pain early on in this stint, but you're going to be in a better state for your tyres when you get back out there. You're going to gain time over the rest of the drivers, and you'll gain that time back. The only issue is if you drop behind a lot of drivers, you've then got to try and pass them. So you want to have some clean air to try and make that time back, because otherwise you're going to fall right off the back of that pack, and it can cost you a lot of positions.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Thomas just asking in the chat if the 42 of Lachlan Urquio has dropped out. No, unfortunately, he did not qualify for the race tonight. Much to my surprise, I thought he had. So,
Gallagher and Dyson coming into pit lane.
Oh, wow.
Very close there. Good reaction.
Very, very close.
Like a cat there from Dyso. He would have been on all fours, just standing up, heckles out, and just managed to avoid the back of the number 13. Very good driving there.
So there you go.
Foster is moving his way up. He's fallen behind Josh Micklemore right here, but Foster is setting some blistering times out there in the 29s right now. So he has got the most pace of anybody out there, and he's going to be catching up to Josh Micklemore very, very quickly. He's going to have a little bit fresher tyres by some 3 or 4 laps. So he should have a little bit of a tyre advantage over Mr. Micklemore and should be past him relatively quickly. Meanwhile, Worley is sticking out there, Raymond Yeager sticking out there, Matty Ray sticking out there, Nigel Patton, Paul Jackson, Mirko Dortnack, Matt Hunter and Phil Otto all sticking it out there at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. I was about to say we'll get keep an eye on the battle for the lead or the effective lead of the race, which is where we're at the moment with Micklemore and Foster.
Or sticking it out there an extra lap if you're in the chase, for instance, is never a bad idea because you get that bonus
Extra
point for leading a lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless you've already got it, of course.
Yes.
And there are those that have.
But you can see the big drop of time, on those old tyres to the fresh ones. As I said, Foster's in the position now. He needs to get past Josh Micklemore as soon as possible.
Menacing sight of the Godfather. Tackling the left-hand rear of the Mitch Motorsport entry of Josh Micklemore. It's good to see a good result for Josh last night in the Xfinity Series. He's had a couple of tough weeks. Yeah, he's got his mirrors full of the Natari Autosport entry of Edward Foster, the number 53 Bridgestone Select sponsored entry. So there Foster's just looking, trying to find a way through where he can at the moment. So we've still got a little bit of a mixture at the front. There's some different pit strategies. Everyone in front of Josh Micklemore has either not stopped or stopped on lap 13, and that was fuel only. None of those drivers took tyres, so Micklemore currently sitting on track in P9 as Foster looks to make the move down the inside now. He's got the run on in the 53 entry to try and close it out. There's a tiny little bit of damage to the back of the 53 entry as well. I'm not sure when that occurred. He has got a tiny little bit of damage to the right-hand rear quarter there.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and actually see if I can spot that one for us, Stuart. So I'll let you have a bit of a talk.
So Micklemore there just dropping that spot to Foster, but still effectively in P2. Micklemore there on the freshest tyres out of the group. So we've still got Hunter, Jackson, Patton, Yeager and Worley in front as Patton comes into pit lane. So this cycle will continue to filter, not too long until it will be Edward Foster who resumes the lead of this race. Of course, Hamish Gallagher's had it for a little while. Gallagher there just with a slightly... I'm not even sure what's happened on the stop there. I think it might be literally just the undercut from Foster for the pit 4 laps earlier. So it is paying off at the moment, but of course we are expecting another full range. Well, there will definitely be another full set of pit stops here for everyone. The question is how many. Will we get a caution that's going to affect the outcome of the race and the way the drivers play out the strategies they'd planned before it? Or are we going to go green?
Remember, Gallagher stayed out there a lot longer, and that has cost him in terms of overall pace. He has got the fresher tyres, but he has to overtake a lot of cars. So Foster got that damage just from a little bit of netcode more related than anything else, as Daiso was just getting past him as Foster was coming into pit lane. There wasn't really contact, it was just, it was that sort of netcodey contact. So when we say netcode contact, it's effectively the iRacing system thinks that you've made contact, but you haven't. So Dyson has absolutely no damage on the front left of that car, but Foster has some damage on the right rear of that car. Nothing that's going to affect him too majorly, I think, but a little bit of a netcode issue there that's caused that bit of damage. So nothing too egregious.
Yeah, kind of like thinking that you've put the bins out, but remembering that you actually haven't. So
Yeah, very much.
It doesn't look to be affecting him too much, though. The pace on the 53 is still quite good. As Matt Hunter remains, along with Jackson and Wally, the last of the stayers.
Getting passed by Foster and Mickelmore right now, Matt Hunter. Good run again from Matt Hunter. He's been having some good races as of late, and really strong finishes as well. Riley Curtis just sitting in there as well. Riley Curtis a lap down though, in the lovely pink car that he's got there, the pink number 93. But having a good run up the front. Meanwhile, Philip Worley is still leading, so good lead of the race. And as I say, he came in on lap 13, so he's got that little bit of extra fuel, just trying a little bit of a different strategy here. If the caution flag flies right now, this will work out perfectly for Jackson and Worley, as I imagine everybody will be coming into pit lane. Just to top up the old fuel tanks, chuck some new tyres on, because there will be quite a bit of pace deficit now, not a huge amount, but there will be some pace deficits, so they might want to all jump into fresh tyres. That you might see a mix of strategies paying off actually, but I think they'd probably want to all get fuel on board just in case they can run a little bit longer, just to try and take advantage of a late caution if it happens.
Yeah, I think you're right. So that's I haven't put the kiss of death on anyone, but I must admit, it's aside of the one caution we've had, it's not looked like we've been even close to having a caution tonight. It's been pretty smooth sailing for everyone so far. So the plan for the race might change for a number of the drivers. Of course, the track being a little forgiving. Jason Martin still battling away, strangely enough, down in P12. So a little lower than we would expect. Of course, adjusted that he's actually running in P10 by the time the other two drivers, or in fact P9 by the time Matty Hunter rolls through pit lane, but still uncharacteristically lower than we would expect from Jason Martin.
Yeah, Jason was a little bit longer in his pit stop than a couple of other people, I think. Well, not by much though.
Not by much though.
Not by much actually. So yeah, just transit time a little bit. So he was about half a second slower for his transit time, so that cost him a little bit. And I think a few people managed to just jump in. But Jason's not looked too settled at this track. He's not looked. It's not been the Jason Martin form that we're usually used to seeing. He's not been too settled so far tonight. So he's just been struggling a little bit for that pace. Meanwhile, Neil Pearson is working his way up through the field at the moment, just getting past Barry Neal. So Pearson on a bit of a run at the moment, catching up to those guys ahead of him. And speaking of people catching up, Foster is very much catching up to Philip Worley. So it won't be long until we see Philip Worley go getting passed by Foster. About 11 seconds on that one, but he is taking time out of him quite quickly.
So, just I was having a little chuckle on myself there. We've got to jump on board with Mike Schroeder. We had an in-depth conversation last night about the colour of his car. And he's come out and confirmed that it is, in fact, just turquoise.
Just turquoise, yeah, that is it. So,
turquoise.
Philip Worley pitting, so Worley's coming in right now. But yeah, a fantastic turquoise. Lovely colour, of course.
Yeah, I think we came up with a couple of better names for it than turquoise, but we'll stick with turquoise for the night. Yeah, enjoyed listening back to the conversation. As we said, we do often get segues that lead us down a rabbit hole, and that was one of them last night, but amusing nonetheless. As he is just currently a lap down. He's got the current leader, Edward Foster, just in front of him, which is what reminded me to speak of it.
I feel like it's time we have a question, Stuart, do you?
Well, it's like that foreboding music that happens in horror films. I was just listening to it, expecting for it to come.
Well, I'll do an easy one tonight.
I think I need help from the audience here. I think it's unfair to just lug the pressure on me. But we'll go. Let's see what we've got.
Which NASCAR Cup driver has the most laps led here at Texas Motor Speedway?
Tony Stewart.
No.
Oh, bummer. Older or younger than Tony Stewart, for a little bit of a hint? Or even just go generation of driver.
Similar.
Similar.
No, high glue close. Bush has the most laps completed, but not led.
Rightio, well, I'm out. I don't have any other guesses other than that. I was going to say Kyle Busch as well.
I could give you a very easy clue that will give everybody the opportunity to get it. Is now racing in IndyCar.
I was about to make an absolute fool of myself deliberately there, but I won't. Wait and see if someone gets it in the chat. Foster still in the lead here. By a second and a half over Josh Mickelmore. There you go, Trev Mickelmore jumps in with Larson.
No. Now racing in the IndyCar series. A former NASCAR driver now racing in the IndyCar series has the most laps led. Not that it will help you out, but it was 1,152 laps led.
That gives it away. I would be amazed. As Hamish Gallagher just gets up into P2. Just going past Josh Mickelmore. A couple of shouts for JJ with High Glue and Gal there, Jimmy Johnson.
Yes, that is correct.
High Glue got in there first. Gal with the same answer.
Yeah, so it was an easy one tonight. I thought I'd be kind to you, Stuart.
Yeah, well, it still didn't help me, Carl. I've told you many times, even before we took on broadcasting ANZCAR, that my knowledge of NASCAR is very, very thin to the ground. I'm learning, but very, very thin to the ground. So, but I do enjoy calling the races, that's for sure. So we'll keep pressing through. But you're going to say something silly like, one Pablo Montoya or something silly like that. But that's why I didn't say it. It came to mind, but I didn't say it. Because obviously he's not currently running in IndyCar, so...
He ran the Indy 500.
He did, but you said currently running IndyCar.
Well, I mean, that's current. He ran last year in the Indy 500. I'd call that current.
Oh, he did too? I forgot about that.
I mean, Pastor Nevis, of course, is a current IndyCar driver. He technically had the one race last year and ended up doing very well in it, and then got a couple of extra drives.
Michael Skurlock gets the move past Barry Neal done. He hasn't quite completed it yet. Looks like he's going to close that one out. So Skirley moves up into P6 where he started the race. Luckily, not a fan of Jimmy Johnson. I think his teammate out in a snap, but you do have to respect his results. Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason a minnow NASCAR fan like myself knows his name.
Like, that's the thing. It's often the case with extremely good and, well, extremely winning drivers and winning sports people, is they may not be the loveliest of people in a competitive environment. Sometimes they get a little bit too competitive, and that can cause some issues.
Yes. Dare we name Formula One teams?
Oh, that's an endless list, I think.
So we won't do that. We haven't got enough time on the stream.
Yeah, that's it.
As, Neil Pearson starts to make a move through on Barry Neal as well. This is interesting because Pearson's on the oldest tyres, only by a lap, but still on the oldest tyres in our lead pack, and he's making headway against those with tyres 3 or 4 younger. Of course, the plateau will have happened by now, but he's obviously managed them a little bit better throughout that stint than perhaps the first stint.
Yeah, look, this is the whole thing about the oval racing is there's a lot of strategy involved to it, and it's something a lot of drivers as we say, oval racing is be an acquired taste sometimes, but it's something that people don't always get, don't always understand, is how the strategy plays into it and how it is very, very different to sort of regular racing in the fact you have to consider the strategies, you have to look after the tyres a little bit. There's a lot more you can do as a driver to look after the car to make it to the very end of the race, to make it to a good position. And there is a little bit of luck involved sometimes, but there's a lot more involved in it. And if you're, if you're not the fastest of drivers, I'll use myself as an example, you can still have good results in oval racing if you work a good strategy, because you can sort of get it working very well and make it actually happen. As right now, Hamish Gallagher's strategy is staying out that little bit longer, is paying off as he's got those fresher tyres and he's absolutely chewing up the gap between himself and Foster. Same for Andrew Dyson, just sitting behind him. So Dyso and Gallagher there, making that slightly alternate strategy pay off. They paid for it in the early stages, but in the long term it makes it a lot better. Foster's still got some good pace. He's actually setting pace very similar to the cars behind him. Those tyres have started plateauing a little bit, but Gallagher's going to get the advantage of that little bit of draft from Foster now, and that's going to help him a little bit. He'll be able to run a slightly different line to Foster because he'll have a little bit more health in those tyres, so he might be able to make a bit of an attack. He might just consider sitting behind Foster for a little bit, just to do a bit of a fuel save and just let Foster do all the hard work. So we'll see how this one plays out, but we've currently got Natari, we've got Mitch Motorsport, and we've got DPR as the top 3 cars. 3 different teams, 3 different drivers. That's what we love to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Just having a look through the lap times for the drivers, and as I say, it's just maintaining pace. It's the 10th year, up or down, so last lap around, Gallagher down a 10th, lap before Foster down a 10th. So even though Gallagher's closing here, he's not smashing out the lap times like Dyson is behind him. As I say, that of course is going to make me look foolish, but you can see here Dyson's closed right back up on the back of these two, so as Gallagher's potentially going to get the run here, and Dyson, like a copycat of what we saw at the start of the race, is going to do the same thing. So Foster's not hemorrhaging time, just a little bit here or there, and that's enough. But Dyso's probably the one who's on the best rubber. Of course, he did pit on the same lap as Hamish Gallagher, but perhaps not having to push quite as hard to get through.
Yeah, we've got a good mix of strategies going on right now. One to keep an eye out for as well, I'd say, is going to be Barry Neal. Barry Neal's got a good run as well. He's sitting just behind Skirley at the moment. and JCW. Neil Pearson just behind them as well with Jason Martin. But Barry Neal's just been quietly chipping away at the moment and just having a good little bit of a run there. Foster's going to drop back to P3 now, just sit on the tail of Dyson. And you're going to see Hamish Gallagher just build out a little bit of a gap here now. Try and get a little bit of an advantage over Dyson so he can't get jumped on. But we should be seeing one more stop here tonight, so they're going to be planning when to come in. And I think it's going to be, you don't want to stop too late, because you're going to need a few laps to make the actual move. As we've seen, it's taken about 30 odd laps for Hamish Gallagher to get back up to Foster to make that move. So if you stop with, say, 40 laps remaining, that gives you the opportunity to come back and attack and actually get to the front of the pack on those fresher tyres. Obviously, stopping a little bit earlier gives you that early speed and gives you that chance to build up a little bit of a gap. So that can sometimes be a good little strategy call. It's going to come down to who has the strategy right at the moment, because we're not seeing many of those horrible yellow things flying out on the circuit. So Gallagher leads the race just ahead of Daiso and Foster. And look, that's a trio of drivers that we've seen a fair few times this season. But one thing we've been a bit shy of is Gallagher getting a win in the Cup Series. Not to put the old mockers on him, but Hamish Gallagher, currently sitting fourth in the chase, has yet to get a victory this year in the Cup. So he's going to be really hoping this one pays out so he can get that one knocked off and actually get that W next to his name for the season. The only other drivers in the chase that don't have a win at the moment is JCW, Matty Ray and Luke Trahair, of course. So there's a couple of drivers that made it into the chase without a win this season. Great jobs on great show of consistency for all of them. But Hamish Gallagher will be desperately wanting to get a win in the Cup Series this season.
Absolutely. So, about to tick over the century of 160 here tonight. And it has been pretty smooth sailing, actually. Did someone get heavily into the wall just before? I didn't quite catch who that was. It may have been Dave Douglas. I'll just go back quickly and have a look at that if we can.
I believe it was Dave Douglas, because he's got a bit of a crumple on that car.
There it is there, yeah. So just got up into the wall and down onto the infield, just practicing some early celebrations. Managing to control that one and get back out on there, sticking on the low line, so not getting in anyone else's way. So that was the damage that we heard. But other than that, it's been pretty much a standard sort of run here. Almost like practice. So jumping back here with Neil Pearson, this battle is probably the closest on track at the moment. We've got Barry Neil Pearson and Jason Martin in a three-way contest for P7. As you can see there, Barry Neil getting the run on the outside. Oh, Pearson gets loose, he gets up into the wall, and that gets the 48, I think, of Matty Hunter into the back of him there. It's just as we say, things pretty smooth sailing. Pearson just gets a little loose and ends up into the wall. You see heavy damage on the back of the number 9. There was nothing Matty Hunter could do about that.
Yeah, it's a little bit of, I'd say again, it's a little bit of netcode just from Barry Neal. Those two they weren't touching each other. It might have been a little bit of a side draft as well. It just snapped Pearson out there, and poor Matty Hunter had nowhere to go. He was just the innocent passenger in that one. Danny G getting lucky just to pull up just at the right moment to not get caught up in that one. Matty Hunter definitely getting the worst of that one, but Pearson going to come into pit lane, get some repairs done, get that one fixed up as well, because he's going to be struggling for pace. And he'll probably chuck a new set of boots on that, get some fuel in there, and probably just about get it to the end of the race now.
Yeah, I think he'd go close. 56 laps. We did see Edward Foster jump in on lap 56, Gallagher and Dyson jumping on lap 60, so you'd expect he'd make it to the end from here. Gallagher now battling through a little bit of the traffic.
Yeah, this is where you can lose a lot of time or gain time as well. So obviously, if you get lucky with the traffic, it can work out very well in your favour. Of course, the traffic doesn't have to get out your way. They've got different strategies. They're running different races as well. So no blue flags in oval racing. So it's, you've got to race them like you race every other car on the track. There's no favoritism. Sometimes you might come up behind somebody else's teammate and they might be a little bit less easy to pass, say, but then other people will be very kind to you and just let you slide straight through. But it's their initiative. It's their option whether they do it or not. Stevie Dub, Dave Douglas coming into pit lane, so they're coming in for an early pit stop right now.
Oh, that was Jason Martin there. Gonna go back and have a look at that. I think he got all sorts of crossed up on the way
damage
in.
on the front as well.
In fact, it was Mickey Skurlock. Just chopped down in front of him, and Martin's going to get a stop go for that. You'd think he entered in pit lane from the wrong side of the cone, and it's just Skurley in late across him and just entered the screen. We'll go back quickly and just have another very quick look.
No, Skurley actually got hit in the back by Barry Neal, and that's what caused Skurley to slide down. So that was actually a multitude of errors there. So Skurley got hit just before, I don't know if we saw the Barry Neal moment, but Barry Neal just got into the back of Skurley. Skurley was just entering the pit lane normally, got hit by Barry Neal, and then slid down, couldn't really get the car under control safely, and unfortunately Jason Martin, I think, might have been avoiding what he thought was coming up as an incident, and he tried to get underneath there, and it did not pay off. So that's a big one.
Skurley, we did just see it there. I think Skurley's actually slowed up to try and get down, and Barry Neal's just at full race pace gone straight into the back of him.
Yeah.
And that's ended up with him coming down into pit lane, and Jason Martin just getting caught up in it. So that is an unfortunate sequence of events as Jason Martin makes his way back out onto track now. So what implications will that have as that's brought him out over a lap down?
Will we be seeing Jason Martin having to come back into pit lane to serve a penalty? That's going to be the big question, because if it does, that is going to really drop him out of this race and really affect him. Jason Martin 2 laps down.
Yeah, I suspect
over the field, because he will have had to get some repairs done as well for that one, because he took a heavy old whack with that car.
Here he comes. I suspect we will.
So,
let's keep an eye on him here just to see, because this has implications for the championship as well, for the outcome of the chase. But he came in around the cone, so you'd have to think he's going to get a penalty for that.
He might get lucky, because he made it through the first cone. He made it through the red cone. It was the yellow cone that was the because that's the slowdown cone effectively. So he might have just got away with that one. So it's the red cone. If you come in past that red cone, that's the one that will actually catch you out. The yellow cone is just there to let you know that's where you got to be slowed down for. So he might just sneak away with that one and get away scot-free. But it has cost him an awful lot of time. And as I say, he is down 2 laps now. So that has really dropped him out of this race, and it's cost him dearly. Same for Skurlock as well. Quite a lot of damage to that car. So they had to get some repairs done. So that's really going to cost him dearly. Meanwhile, up the front, Hamish Gallagher still leads over Andrew Dyson and Edward Foster. So how long are these guys going to stay out? They're going to see if they can stick it out as long as possible. Who's going to pull the pin first and who's going to respond to it? Of course, if a caution comes out and you come in too early, it's really going to cost you your race. So you don't want to be the first to blink if a caution comes. But obviously, the later you blink, the harder it's going to be for the end of the race. It could cost you a lot of points come towards the end of the race here.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I don't want to put blockers on it, of course, but just can't see where a caution's going to come from. The field's spread out nicely now. Obviously, there is lap traffic. There's a couple of drivers coming in on cold tyres, so maybe it's going to be there. But just think that this one could run green until the end. If we're going to have one
you've got
do
a few. The only thing I could say is we've got a few wounded cars out there now. Quite a few cars with a fair bit of front end damage. And that can affect their top speed a bit and can affect them, if their engine goes at the wrong point, It can sometimes cause him to have to pull over, and that can cause the yellow to come out if they're not quick enough on the old escape button. So keep an eye on that one, as Dyson's got a really good run on Hamish Gallagher right here. Dyso getting a fantastic little bit of slipstreaming there and coming up right onto the back of the 13. The 041 really, really pushing and trying to get another victory under his belt. So far, Andrew Dyson has got 6 wins this season, the most of anybody in the Cup Series. The next closest driver is Mr. Michael Scullock on 5. But Dyso would sorely love to get another victory on an oval, just to prove that he can do it both on the twisty stuff and the turny lefty stuff.
The turny lefty stuff, yes, indeed. He's been working hard. Wow!
Contact there as Gallagher was coming in, didn't call it over the radio, and it was just easing off and just caught Dyson out a little bit there. So that will cause a bit of damage to the front end of Dyso, I would say. He probably got lucky because he would have just hit it on the door panel, but Gallagher will have got a bit of damage on the rear there, and that could have cost him, and that can cost you a little bit there, and that's not always what you want, but not a huge amount of damage on the back of Gallagher, just a similar little scrape to the back, not a huge amount of damage, but any damage is not preferable. Luckily, though, on that rear, it doesn't affect you too much. Dyson in pit lane as well now, I believe. So Dyso coming in. Foster sticking it out longer this time. So Foster's decided to just stick it out longer, just in case that caution flag flies. He's going to take the pain now, and then he's going to come back on those fresher tyres a little bit later.
And we'll see how that affects him. For now,
Foster coming in now.
Race leader comes in straight away.
So this is going to help out Matty Ray, who's going to take the lead. Raymond Yeager, sorry. Too many Rays there. Just catches me out. Raymond Yeager is going to take the lead of this race, and we'll get a bonus point for leading. Good to see Raymond Yeager back in the series. Long time stall and had a bit of a break from ANZCAR, but nice to see him back and back in the lead of a race for Mr. Yeager, hunting down a good finish tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a strong series as well. Competition is always high. Let's see if a driver like Lachlan Urquhart can miss out. But
yeah, that's one of the things about the Cup, is it is very much, you got to be at the top of your game to make it in. Of course, you do get locked in being in the chase, of course, but you get locked in if you've got the safety points. If you don't make any contact, if you drive and behave well and get a good finish, you get yourself locked into the next race. But then there's still 10 spots open for anybody to get into the race. Anybody that's fast enough to get in, they can absolutely make it in and start racing. And that's the thing, the Cup is the top end of the ANZCAR series for that reason.
Yeah, certainly so. 40 to go here. Into the last quarter of the race. Raymond Yeager, a bit of a shout at the front at the moment with his teammate there, Justin Witcher, just making his way by. Oh, in fact, that's the 90 of Nigel Patton. My apologies.
Nice photo opportunity there for the team.
Absolutely. Albeit the commentator hasn't got the faintest idea who they are. No, it's not true whatsoever. Just extraordinarily difficult to differentiate between the two.
It's tricky when you haven't got your timing screens. When you're looking at about 6 different screens, as we are, it's one of the things that you sort of, if you've never tried the old commentating and sort of trying to watch multiple things at the same time, we're watching generally about 3 different screens for the action, and then timing screens are open, and then keeping an eye on chat and keeping an eye on all the other incidents and things like that. It's an awful lot of work that you do up here in the booth, and Stuart does much more than myself, so it's not an easy task to perform sometimes.
That's why I often go quiet while I'm trying to figure some stuff out. You cover the gap, it's all good. We all have our things.
When I'm trying to work out a strategy, I go quiet. When something goes wrong with the stream, Stuart goes quiet. You can always tell what's going on inside the commentary booth.
Absolutely, you can. You just need to listen. But anyway, none of that tonight, which is good. So, the Raymond Jaeger, how many more laps can he possibly run? He's lap 68. He
be coming in
dropped
now.
in, so yeah, I was going to say he's got to be in now
So-
or close. Philip Worley's going to run for a little bit longer. He pit on 77.
Actually, maybe not. Where am I on my counter? I reckon Jaeger's probably going to go maybe 1 or 2 more laps, I'd say.
Which means effectively Josh Mickelmore is the leader of our race, so Foster's fallen through a little bit, but of course he pit later, so should be able to recover that. But
Yeah, so Foster's hoping that those fresh tyres will help him recover those positions now. He's trying the same strategy that Gallagher and Daiso used, and Foster is catching up to his teammate JCW very, very shortly. Foster taking that pain early on. He's got a lot of lapped cars to make his way through, and that's the thing that can affect this kind of strategy. So that's the problem with this kind of strategy, is it pays off well if you get a nice clean bit of road, but if you end up behind a lot of lapped cars, you can really get yourself caught out. And at the moment, Foster has got a lot of lapped cars between himself and his teammate of JCW, which is the next car he's got to pass. So Foster's going to have to do this on track. So it's going to be all hard work at the moment. So he's going to be working hard to make his way through. And he's got Danny G just lurking behind him at the moment as well. So keep an eye on the orange-flavoured Mitch Motorsport car, because that thing will be trying its best. Meanwhile, up the front, Hamish Gallagher is just about to get past Josh Mickelmore. Hamish Gallagher effectively getting through there, and he's going to be trying to chase down the orange-flavoured DPR car of Andrew Dyson. So Dyson in the effective lead of the race. So the very, very pretty DPR car doing a good job up front, and Dyson has been doing a fantastic job here at Texas. Really, really strong once again, and as I said, you know, Dyson, he's done really well this season getting those victories on the road circuits. Just the one win on an oval in the Cup Series, so he's going to really want to get another win on an oval, and he's shown that he's got the speed and he's got the ability to do it here tonight.
yeah, absolutely. Trent Micklemore's just said that Danny G is coming, and he's right, he is. I'm just going to jump on board here for a little bit and have a look. He's in terms of tyre life, hit on 107, so not the freshest of the group. But as always, the silent assassin Danny G has progressed well throughout the evening. Say that he's down 3 spots, but he has just been silently or slowly making his way back up through the field. He's got JCW and Edward Foster in front of him. Damaged Matty Hunter there just down on the inside, so we'll see how he can go here. There's still plenty of time. So in the last quarter of the race, a long one here, it's 40 laps, so still got 31 to go. A lot can happen in 31 laps. We've seen it before, run green for extended periods of time and then have the race finish under a green white checker, so anything could happen from here on out.
Well, as the great Murray Walker said, anything can happen in motorsport, and it usually does. Raymond Jaeger doing a fantastic job. Managed 61 laps so far on this stint, so really pushing that fuel to the very edge of what it's capable of. Look, just keeping it out there just in case that caution flies. He's sort of made his bed and he's going to have to lay in it, but I think now is the time where the fuel has run out. It's coming into pit lane, so good try from Raymond Jaeger. If that caution flew, it could have really paid it off for him, but no caution out there to save him from the drop that he's going to have. The only benefit he's now got is he's going to be on nice fresh tyres to the end of this race. He's going to get a 29 lap run to the finish on those fresh boots and be able to make up a few positions.
Jump up the front here and have a look at Dyson, because the gap to Hamish Gallagher is closing. Also, last week said probably going to be the last time we'd see him in the booth. Not so sure about that based on his performance tonight.
Oh, well, you know, that's the thing. He's forever a bit of a pessimist sometimes.
He is indeed. He's a much better driver than I think he lets on sometimes.
He has, but Daniel Hedersheed at the moment, he's trying to get his lap back at the moment. He's currently sitting down in P9. He's sitting right on the tail of these two. He's on much fresher tyres, though, remember. So Hedersheed on those nice fresh tyres, about 5-6 laps younger. So he should be able to get past them here and get his lap back. And then he's going to start trying to chase down somebody like Matty Ray and Luke Trahere, see what he can do to get the finish of this race. And again, one of those drivers that's got a lot of experience on the road circuits, Hedersheed, and making his way on the ovals. We saw him take out the victory on the short track in debut. Really, really strong performance, and I think going to be one of those drivers to watch out for next season.
Hedersheed here is just trying to unlap himself. He has done his final stop, pitting on lap 120, so he will make it to the conclusion of this race.
And importantly, if he gets this lap back, if a caution flies, then he is on the lead lap, which is important. Right now, he'd get the lucky dog, but he wants to be on that lead lap, so he's got the choice to sort of pit with the leaders and things like that. It gives you a little bit more flexibility, so he's going to be desperate to try and get past Daiso here, and also it gives him that chance to chase down a few other drivers as well in this race, so it's pretty important to get past here, to get back on that lead lap, and I think he's going to be able to do it now, just getting underneath Andrew Dyson right now, pushes Dyson a little bit wide, and that's going to give Hamish Gallagher possibly a little bit of a run here. Dyson is going to have to watch out for Gallagher now. He's going to have to be careful of Gallagher taking a big dive on the inside, which he does. Gallagher uses that to his advantage. He's going to sit on the back of Hedersheed, try and get a little bit of draft action there. It's Dyson and Gallagher side by side as they come across the quad oval section. Gallagher's got that inside line. He'll be able to brake nice and early here, get the braking into this corner. We've seen that turns 1 and 2 can be a bit tricky on the outside. See Dyson get a better run off here. Gallagher gets a little bit loose on the rear. That's going to cost him for his exit speed. This could be Dyson's chance to drop down in front of him, which he does.
Yeah, good driving from all three drivers there. Hedersheed getting away and off into the distance to try and arrest some of the gap to the leaders while Dyson and Gallagher battle away here. So 24 to go. You'd have to say Gallagher's got the pace here. He's just got to get it done. So he would have got a little bit extra heat in the rears there, just getting loose, but he will certainly live to fight another day here. In fact, he's going to be applying pressure this time around, you'd feel.
Yeah, going to be really pushing on, but the one to watch out for, I think, is going to be Foster, who's chasing them down. Foster's managed to get past Josh Micklemore. He's about just under 3.5 seconds off Gallagher and Dyson. He's going to be coming up on those nice fresh tyres, so he's going to be really trying his best to catch up to them.
Yeah, you say nice and fresh. I mean, there's only a lap between them. 1:15 for Gallagher, 1:16 for Daiso, 1:17 for Foster. I guess the difference is the fact that Dyson and Gallagher are battling away, and Foster's managed to get around Josh Micklemore and perhaps not spend quite as much of the tyre.
That's what he's going to be hoping, is he can actually use those tyres to his advantage. He might have come in a little bit too soon to really make it pay off. He may have needed to stay out there an extra 3 or 4 laps to really make this one pay off. But I think seeing the fate of his closest championship rivals of Skurlock and Jason Martin may have made Foster think twice about that and think about possibly just securing a good finishing position tonight. So he might have been thinking a little bit more championship-wise than race-winning-wise. Although, big puff of smoke there in front of Daiso. Who was that?
I'm quite sure that was either, actually.
Looked like it might have been Michael Schroeder. No, sorry, it was Jason Martin. I think. No, it wasn't Jason Martin. Sorry, he was the first car into it. It was Dave Douglas. Dave Douglas losing the rear through turns 1 and 2, just manages to save it. But a big snap of oversteer, so that has a big moment. And Dave Douglas again just losing the rear again. It looks like those rears have just absolutely fallen off the cliff for Dave Douglas as he just about to... he just saves it, but he's going to go across the infield. Dave Douglas manages to save the car, but It's going to be sketchy getting back on the track right now. Dave Douglas just having to get through into pit lane. I think he's going to need to come down pit road to get some fresh boots on that car because he's really struggling out there at the moment.
So second time tonight, he's gone for a big run down the on the grass there, just cutting some channels for whoever might take this one out. Interestingly enough, Carl, it's opened up at the front, so Gallagher now half a second off Andrew Dyson. So Dyson holding on to the back of Daniel Hedersheet. In fact, looking a little pacey.
Yeah, look, Hedersheet's going to be doing Dyson a little bit of a favour because Hedersheet's on those on some tyres that are a bit fresher, and he'll have that pace, but it will give that little bit of draft action as well. So they're sort of racing it at the moment, and look, Hedersheet and Dyson both races. They very much want to race each other as well, and it might not be for position right now, but they are racing each other at the moment. The side by side as they're just coming up to Scotty Griffiths there. A man we've not really spoken about tonight, Scotty Griffiths. Relatively okay night, sitting down in 22nd at the moment. Bit of damage on the Synergy car. But again, a solid performance for Scotty Griffiths, and just keeping his nose relatively out of trouble. Meanwhile, JCW has got a mirror full of a mixed motorsport car, and that's Danny G fighting his way up through the field at the moment, catching on to JCW and trying to push his way up through there. So that's going to be an interesting little battle. Meanwhile, up at the front, Daiso's made the move on Hedersheet, and that's given Hamish Gallagher another little bit of an opportunity. They're getting up to a lot of lapped cars right here, so this is going to slow down this pack a little bit and could give Foster the chance he needs to catch up to these guys. We've got 15 laps remaining. It's going to be an exciting finish, I feel. It's going to get very close towards the end of this race.
Yeah, well, Foster's actually dropped off a little further off this pack, so it's now 4.5 seconds to the leader. But the difficulty is whether or not he's going to have to start fighting Josh Micklemore at some stage. The gap there now, it's just around that half a second mark too. So, as I say that, it blows out to just on a second. So, there's a question there around that, but certainly this battle at the front Foster is for the winner.
Should have that one covered. He's on much fresher tyres, and I think it's got a bit better pace than Micklemore at the moment. I would say just depends on traffic management, I think. I'm just wondering if that little bit of damage to the back of Foster's car is causing a bit of an issue to the right side tyre. That might be just affecting him a tiny little bit.
It certainly won't help.
Well, being that we're not going to be back in Texas for a little while, we've got 13 laps remaining. I'm just going to ask one more question, just because I feel like it. Based in San Juancito, I'm going to pronounce that wrong, San Jacinto, the Texas is the oldest surviving example of what?
The Texas.
It's a New York class.
Either train or submarine or ship.
Close. Warm. Getting warm.
Tank.
No, you were much warmer before.
Submarine.
No, getting cold as you go deeper and deeper away from the answer.
Well, I've already said boat.
Well, you did say that, and that was very, very warm, but it's not quite right.
No idea.
Bit bigger than a boat.
Cruise liner.
We'll go for a ship. I'll give you a ship. I'll give you that one. What?
I don't know. Battle liner. I've got no idea, Carl.
It is the oldest surviving battleship. It's the first, one of the earliest surviving dreadnought class battleships to come out, of course. The oldest being the Mikasa, a pre-dreadnought battleship in Japan. But the Texas is the second oldest battleship still living as a museum ship. Just a little bit of random, interesting history there. Because
and in what war were the dreadnoughts used, Carl?
Well, the Texas actually did have a little bit of a fight with Mexico, but it was mainly World War I and World War II, of course.
Wrong. The dreadnought actually found its passion in the American Civil War.
Sorry, I thought you meant the
further back.
Well, the Dreadnought class battleship.
Yes.
But the actual... Yes, okay, yeah. Dreadnought class battleships were, of course, named after HMS Dreadnought from 1909, of course.
Anyway, we move back along.
Yes.
Cal brings us back into point here. It is very, very much interesting. We've got Nigel. We've got Martin down in 20th position and Edward Foster in P3. So big championship changes afoot. And as I said, Foster's got Josh Micklemore covered here. So looks like the battle is between Dyson and Gallagher, and it's just stabilised at the moment, just under half a second. We've got 8 to go.
It's going to be close between... it's going to help Gallagher's championship quite a bit. Gallagher's sitting 9 points off the championship lead. So this is going to help him a little bit. Just crawl up a little bit further. He would like to get that extra position, get ahead of Andrew Dyson, who's having a resurgent final sector of the chase here tonight.
Yeah, I think if you probably asked Iso, well, and we did, he wasn't expecting to feature much in the remainder of the chase at all, but he's driven a good race here tonight. He was started a little... Had a really good start, I should say, sorry. He jumped 4 positions early, and he's just managed it really well. So, half a second up again, and he's looking very strong here to take out the win.
Yeah, he's doing a really, really good job tonight. And again, it's just proof of the ability on the ovals once more. And as I said, Daiso is becoming an all-rounded individual. He's sort of the total package now, and he's really coming into his own, which is fantastic stuff.
And of course, running in the DPR, Simrigs.com Phoenix Smokers sponsored entry. Across a couple of the different series that we cover here on FGM Acast. So far tonight, looking the goods to take the win with 5 to go. So not long left now.
Getting very much to the end of this one. Really good clean race from the drivers as well. We've seen some really close racing as well, which is what we love to see here in ANZCAR, and a lot of good moves throughout the field. It's spread out a little bit now. If you remember back at the start of the race, we had 14 cars covered by less than about 2 seconds. But it has spread out a little bit now, and things have got turned to slightly more normal. But Hamish Gallagher is still only a couple of tenths off of Andrew Dyson with 3 laps remaining. So Dyson has to be careful. He can't make a mistake here tonight. Foster's eased off a little bit, sitting 5 seconds off the lead. He's got a good gap over Josh Micklemore at the moment, who's got a decent gap over Danny G, who's being chased down by JCW. But there's a little bit too much of a gap unless Danny G makes a bit of a mistake, you got to say. Meanwhile, looking back a little bit further, Matty Ray is holding on to P9 at the moment, but he has got a pretty fast charging Daniel Heddersheed in pin 10, but I think the laps are not going to allow him to catch up.
No, I mean, it's close. Luke Trahare's another one who's just snuck up. He's in P7 at the moment. So, and he's got a half a second gap over Raymond Yeager just behind him. You won't catch JCW in P6. He's nearly 8 seconds up the road.
Big shout out to Paul Jackson running in P11 with 19 positions gained. So a really strong evening there for Paul Jackson.
Yeah, the biggest shuffler of the race. Double that of Matty Ray, who normally takes home that award. So a good clean run for PJ in the 2:31 entry.
Yeah, Matty Ray deciding to qualify tonight, so we only gained 8 positions. Only 8 positions. Only 8 positions. But no, good run as well from him. So again, that's going to be good points as well. There's a good little battle going on towards the back end of the chase as well. Everybody wants to beat everybody else. That's always the way it is in motorsport. But the man that is going to do it tonight There's going to be Andrew Dyson coming around the final set of corners for the final time tonight. Win number 7 of this year's Cup season for Andrew Dyson, and he's got his second win on an oval. Fantastic job for him. Hamish Gallagher comes home in P2. Forever the bridesmaid, never the bride. So just missing out on that win again for Hamish Gallagher, but a very strong run. Edward Foster coming home in P3. Really strong, solid result for him. Would have probably wanted a couple of places higher after that starting grid, but a good night for championship points for him. Josh Micklemore finishing in 4th. Danny G in 5th. Nice, strong run. 6th place for JCW. Luke Trahair in 7th. 8th for Maddie Ray. For Raymond Yeager. It's always the way when Raymond gets back. Raymond Yeager in P8. A fantastic job on return. We've not seen Yeager for a few rounds, and it's always nice to see him having a strong run. Maddie Ray in P9 and P10 for Daniel Hedesheed.
As Daiso begins the celebrations. And they'll be big. He'll be wrapped with this result. And look at the spread. DPR, Mitch, Natari as the top 3. And it is Mitch, Natari. So I don't think that Daiso can take it out, but he can certainly make a big shake on the top 3 if he continues this form for the last couple of rounds.
Well, it's going to be tricky for him to take it out, of course. But I mean, as I say, it's 46 points between him and the top there. Stranger things have happened. If all of those boys have some really bad results, then he has got a mathematical chance. But it's going to be very, very close. It's not going to be an easy task. That bad start to the chase season for him really cost him dearly.
Yeah, true that. It's interesting how it changes the course because DPR locked out the podium in the first round of the chase. So it's just been tough since then, but last 2 weeks, Daiso 2 in a row.
That's it. I mean, look, we had the team lockout for the first 3 races of the chase, and then ever since then, it's been very hard to get more than one car in the top 3, which is what we love seeing. And again, we got that nice spread of different teams tonight. So really good job from all the drivers. And great job, again, just a shout out to everybody out there tonight. Just a single yellow. That is fantastic result. As I said, Texas can sometimes be the track where we get a few cautions. And tonight proved that wrong. And we got some really good racing out there. So great to see from everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a look here at the back of Daiso, who's still celebrating hard. We've got... the drivers just waiting in the booth, so we'll bring them in shortly.
If we wait for Dyson, we might be waiting here all night long. He loves to make sure that he gets the most out of those rear tyres.
Absolutely. I thought it might give us a very quick chance to give a rundown of what we've got coming up next week on the stream on FGME Cast. Of course, we're back from Monday as our Carl, a year starts to wind down, and I can tell you we're both looking forward to it, not because the racing hasn't been good, but it is a long season. We've got Nashville coming up in the trucks next week with the 100-lap race there. Tuesday night we've got the Monza race in Ozpass being the first of the Enduros. And that is going to be a cracker with Pass 2 preceding that race. We are back here as well with we're back with Martinsville with the Thunder Series. I think I've got that wrong actually. No, I'm right. We're back with Martinsville with the Thunder Series, and we've got Martinsville, of course, here as well on the Kansas as well on the chase. So. That is a very, very badly introduced list of what's coming up next week on the channel. I'm really struggling here tonight.
iRacing maintenance has made things a lot harder for us. If we didn't know, things got a little bit shuffled.
No calendar update, and it has completely thrown me out every week this season. But anyway, it is what it is. We deal with what we can. Let's bring in the top 3 from the race tonight. Edward Foster, Hamish Gallagher, and Andrew Dyson's still out, just making sure that those tyres can't be used any further. But Cal, take it away with Edward Foster.
Yeah, so Edward Foster, congratulations on the P3 there tonight. Things looks like they were going really well for you tonight, and you had a solid run out there. Just lost a little bit of pace towards the end, possibly.
Yeah, it was solid enough. Was pretty surprised to come away with the pole, actually, although it was probably the best lap I've hooked up there, like pretty much all through practice or anything. So, yeah, was pretty happy with that, and was just leading away, and I was quite happy out the front. And then off that other restart, Pearson just managed to get underneath me, and of course that puts you offline, and you can either choose to fight up the top and burn off all your stuff, or just let guys through and slot in. But it's not quite as nice driving in traffic as it is out in the clean air. So it was okay. We were hanging on all right, and then I can barely even remember the way the race played out. So much happened, but. Yeah, staying out on that first caution, and then obviously making those 2 stops under green. And I thought I'd be a bit sneaky and try the undercut, and I was a little bit too sneaky for my own good, and Dyson clipped the back of me on my way in the pits. And yeah, that was entirely on me. I should have called it out, but I was just trying to catch him off guard a little bit. And I'm not really sure. I didn't really look at the lap times to see if the car lost any pace after that. But after coming out and seeing the way that Dyson and Gallagher were able to run me down, using the overcut, I thought, okay, excuse me, that the overcut is the way to go. So I was quite happy when those guys peeled in and, ran an extra lap and came in, got my stuff, came back out, worked my way up behind them and expected to start chipping away at the gap, and it just didn't happen. So, was rolling around in P3 there, and Micklemore behind had some pretty good pace as well. He dropped off a bit towards the end, but he was hanging with me for a while. So finishing in front of him became my main focus. And I could see that Dyson and Hamish were battling pretty hard up the front. And I was thinking, if those guys come together, maybe I'm in with a chance. But I certainly had no chance on pace to run them down.
I was going to ask, with that sort of, with the overcut slight option, do you feel like maybe you came in a little bit too soon? Do you think like maybe you should have left it out there a couple more laps, or were you not too comfortable doing that?
Look, I could have done. Pace was all right at that stage, but you make these calls and you live and die by your calls, and that's the call I made.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's one of those things in the action, sometimes when you make the right call, it makes you look like an absolute hero. When you make the wrong call, it can be absolutely terrible. But you made a decent call and finished in a very good spot tonight. Obviously, a few of your championship rivals of Skurlock and Martin not having the best nights as well. So that's going to be good news to your ears, I imagine, for chase positioning.
Look, I mean, I haven't even looked at where they finished, so I don't know. But, we've got championship contenders all over the place. Hamish is there, Micklemore's there, you got Martin and Skirley and like everything, so it's going to be an awesome run. I can't see this one getting settled before Phoenix. I mean, if you remember back to last year, pretty much all I had to do was show up in Phoenix to take it, but I think this one's really going to go down to it. It's going to be a great end to the championship. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, 3 or more of us within sort of 10 points at the end. So I'm up for it. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to get to Phoenix. I can't wait to get this season over either. It's been a long one, but yeah, I'm really keen to see how it turns out. So yeah, all good.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Foster. Before I let you go, the usual thing of love and shout out to sponsors.
Yeah, definitely. So shouts out to Dyson and Hamish. They were just too quick at the end there. As I said, expected to be able to close on them on new tyres, and I couldn't do a thing. So congrats to those two. And, obviously the sponsors, Bridgestone Select, Race Magazine, Two Fat Blokes, Ferguson Group Media, AJ Insurance Services as well. And happy birthday to Jason Hardigan. He was supposed to be coming out tonight, but had a fair few naughty waters. I think his missus is teaching him how to mix cocktails. So, he's had a few too many, decided not to come out. So, happy birthday, mate, and hope you're enjoying yourself.
Thank you so much, Edward Foster Notarians, but well done again on P3. Next up, we head to the Mitch Motorsport driver, number 13, Mr. Hamish Gallagher. Congratulations on the P2 there, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. That was a bloody long race, wasn't it?
It was. Were you expecting to see a few more cautions out there tonight?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I was hoping for really long runs. As long as you can get through those first 10 laps, if things get fairly spread out, just because the aero wash is so bad. Like I did in a NAS race here last weekend, and we even got like an 80 lap run in there. So that was sort of what I was hoping for, and that's what we got. So Yeah. Just obviously Dysel was pretty strong all race, and his better job for the pitch. That last pit stop there got the jump, and you can't really do much when once you're behind someone on the same tyres. Yeah, just like the push is so bad, so we just had to sort of settle in and bring it home P2.
Yeah, obviously you did the long overcut strategy on that first stint, and it paid off well for you. Were you a little bit worried that you might get caught up in traffic with that option, or were you pretty confident you could get past people?
Yeah, no, that's really the only way you can pass. Is we got tyre advantage over people, so I was quite happy to just run it out as long as I could, as long as I dared, before didn't want to get caught out there just pit, and then there'd be a caution or something like that, and you get screwed over. So left it as long as I could, and yeah, everyone did a really good job today. Really clean racing, a lot of green flag, and that's really good to see.
Yeah, and obviously we saw. We saw sort of almost a mirror incident when you were coming into pit lane with Daiso, same as what happened to Foster, really just that tiny little clip on the back. Obviously not too much change in your pace from that one.
No, I didn't have any damage. I did call it out, maybe didn't hear it, or he's probably just racing hard, going for the win, but yeah, no, it was no harm, no foul, so that was all good.
No, that's it, a little bit of a rub here is fine, it just lets you know that you're alive still. Obviously, it's coming towards the tail end of the Cup season, and you're still on a bit of a duck egg. That win's got to be coming soon for you.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll just take every race as it comes, see how it goes. It's really all we can do.
Look, we will hopefully get you back up in the booth very shortly. Congratulations on tonight, a really well-run race, very well-driven. Before I let you go, the usual thing of shout-out and love to sponsors.
Well done to the rest of the top three there, and just to set it to the rest of the field as keeping it clean as we did. Just the one caution, that's a really good job. Speaks highly of the league, the quality of the drivers, especially this late in the season. Like Edward said, it's been a bloody long year. Looking forward to the summer break, but we're still getting 30 cars turn up and the race that well. It's really good to see. Just thank you for my team, thank you for you guys, and we'll catch you later.
Thank you so much, Hamish Gallagher, Mitch Motorsport. Congratulations again on that P2. Next up, we will head to the man that didn't think he'd be back in the booth this season. Mr. I won't see you again probably for the rest of the year. Mr. Andrew Dyson taking out the victory here at Texas. Were you just lying to us? Were you just sandbagging a little bit, or was this a bit of a surprise?
No, definitely a bit of a surprise, man. Trust me, we were all playing the classic no pace game in the chat. Didn't think we really be amongst it. We'd be hoping to get it on strap, but no, how cool is that?
Look, it is it's the second oval victory for you, I believe.
Second
oval victory. The seventh victory this season in the Cup. That's not bad at all, is it? Really?
Yeah, not bad. I'll take those two wins as those two wins on the ovals as the real win. So because that's where the real racing is in this series. Not to say that the circuit stuff isn't real racing, because there's some super fast guys that still show up. But the circle racing is what it's all about. So that's where we want to get the W's, and I'm pretty happy with that.
Well, it is the big thing, and it's the thing we've seen you improving on week in, week out. And again tonight, you just showed experience beyond your years, so to say. It looks like you've been doing the old oval racing for much longer than you have. You made that one pay off. Strategy-wise, you absolutely made it work out perfectly. Were you just following other drivers in, or were you just going on your own intuition with that one?
Not really. On the first one, I followed Hamish in because I had no idea how to get into the pit, so I thought I'll use him up here. And then on the second one, I figured I'll just try and do something different, like whatever he did. I'll just do the opposite sort of thing. Because he pretty much touched on it. Once you're on the same tyre, there's not really a whole lot you can do. But I know he went in, and I thought, if I don't go now, I'm probably going to do myself a bit of a mischief. So I had to go in the very next lap, and not sure exactly what happened on his end, but I don't know. I felt like I did a reasonable job, and it helped us. Got it out in front. Maybe he had some traffic or something, but from that point on, it was just a matter of hanging on, and it was close a few times. He was right there, so. Bit of traffic and stuff, but that's part of this game, and made it super tense at a couple of times there. But it was an awesome race, and I'm probably a bit biased, but yeah, it was an awesome race.
No, absolutely. You did a great job of battling your way through. We saw some great overtakes and things like that as well, and having to work your way through the traffic a little bit using the overcut strategy. It's not always the easiest way of doing it. Fresh tyres do help, of course, but as I said, touched on before, another victory on an oval. You're definitely showing the field that you are an all-rounder now, and it's definitely coming up good for you. You're in the chase, of course, this season, a little bit further down on points than some of the other drivers, but this has got to be a good feeling for coming to the end of the year. You've got to be confident that you might get a good result out of it in the end.
Well, yeah, probably not. Probably top three's out of reach, I think, for as far as the chase goes in the overall standings. But I think probably because I feel like I'm probably out of the running overall, I can have a bit more of a go, and maybe take a few more risks than some of these other guys. So that might have helped a little bit tonight, I think.
Yeah, look, and it makes it a little bit more scary for the rest of the drivers next year, seeing the pace you're getting and the confidence brewing. So, watch out for next season for Mr. Andrew Dyson. That's the big thing. But another victory for yourself. And as I said, most victories so far of anybody in the championship, which is a fantastic thing to have next to your name. So well done for that. Before I let you go, though, the usual thing of shout out and love to sponsors and people in general.
Well, once again, thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast. Thanks to all the people that actually watch each week as well. We don't really mention those guys, but they get in there, they watch it, they comment on the stream, they do all those awesome things, and helps get it out there. So thanks so much to all those people who tune in. Thanks to ANZCAR for putting it on. Thanks to all the boys in the team. Full credit to the boys. And thanks to simrigs.com, Southfield Lifts and Hoist, BMX Mechanical, BetSmart Racing Services, Alcoholder, Fenix Smokers, get around them, they're pretty sick, and MP Designs, love your work, bud. Pull your finger out too, mate. We need some more paints.
Thank you so much, Andrew Dyson, DPR. A second victory on the ovals, showing he can turn left as well as he can turn right. Congratulations, mate.
Thanks, man. See you next week. Hopefully, we'll see how we go.
That's it. We won't say we might not see you back in the booth again. I've got the feeling we might see you again before the year's out.
Well, I'll never say never, but yeah, I mean, what I was kind of alluding to there is how hard it is to actually get near the front at this time of the season. So we'll have a go.
I look forward to having another chat to you at some stage. Keep well, Andrew.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
So, another race done and dusted, Stuart. It has been a very long season. We are getting to the tail end of it, but still a few races left, and this championship is very much still alive.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch there. I'm hoping that if there are new designs coming, that we start to see some M&Ms or something on, maybe some Skittles on the next generation of DPR liveries. Just I think that would be quite suitable. But another fantastic race tonight, and we've got 3 to go in the chase. A couple of mentions there of long seasons it has been, but it continues to entertain. And tonight's race was no different in that respect whatsoever. So we head into next week, and I really don't know what to expect at all, to be brutally honest. So we'll look forward to getting back on the stream for you Monday night, 7:45, for the Truck Series returning for its start to the week, and our start to the week as well, Carl. It's been a long one, but it's been a good one. Thank you very much, as always, for your contribution to our stream. It is very, very much appreciated. And we will see everyone who jumped in and said hello next week on FGME Cast, your E-Place for Pace. That is it for us for the week. Good night. Enjoy your weekend, wherever you are around this fine country or the world. And we will see you next Monday evening. Have a good night.